Guys, what's up? Some days, I don't know. I do not know what to think. Anyway, we're going to wait till somebody comes in because I don't feel like talking a whole lot. Hello. Yeah, I'm just at a loss today. Hello. I'm at a loss. But anyway, let's get on with this. At least this gives me something to keep going with. Thank you for 527 subscribers. Love each and every one of you. I mean that right here, nature peeps. Not going to get into it on live because it is my problem. Let's enjoy live. Okay. First off, coming up lives. Let's get that done and over with right now. Coming up Saturday, this Saturday at 8:30, we have Carnivores in My Collection. Next Tuesday at 7 p.m., How Do We Choose Who Lives and Who Dies? Friday at 7 p.m., we have Learn to Care African Forest Elephants. Next Saturday at 8:30, we have Myth and Monsters European Edition. Tuesday, by popular demand, for one of my younger viewers, we have Godzilla Monsters, Weight, Height, and Weapons. Hello, welcome. Tonight's live is going to take a very different direction than usual. Because tonight we are talking about getting stung for views. I'm going to preface this video or this live by saying that I am not poking fun at anybody. I am not condoning anybody. I'm simply giving my opinion. And that's all this is. Backed by a little bit of truth. Just know that I am not attacking any YouTubers. I am not suggesting that they are wrong for what they're doing. I'm simply stating my opinion on their actions. Not attacking them in any way. So first off, know that the YouTuber who brought this to my attention does his research. His team does their research. They know what they're doing before they do it. They know the risk that are involved before they do it. Okay? They take a chance. And they know the chances of what could happen if they get stung or bit and it goes bad. There are people there to handle that scenario. And they are always safe. That being said, I still want to address it because I feel like it's important to address it. That way, my followers, my subscribers, don't get any weird ideas about where I stand on the subject and don't ask me to do it. Okay? Okay. Because I hope so. I hope it's interesting, and I hope you learned something along the way. So first off, nobody, based on my research, is born with allergies. However, allergies can happen at any time. And by that, I mean, if you go out and you get stung by a honeybee, one time may or may not put you into a severe reaction. However, the second sting potentially could put you at risk of having a serious reaction. If your parents are allergic to something, if one of your parents is allergic to something, let's say it is peanut butter or peanuts, and that gives you a 30 to 50% chance of developing that allergy. However, if both of your parents are allergic to peanuts, you now have a 60 to 80% chance of developing an allergy to peanuts. Do we understand that? Let me know before I move on, because this is going to get a little bit. Yeah, very high percent. Now, saying that, I'm going to pull out my friend, maybe, because I need him. Hello, Pro Cello G. Obviously, this is not a real animal, okay? But if I had one for a pet, okay, and if it was a spitter, and every time that I neared the tank, he spat at the window, okay? When I go in to clean that, because it does get a little bit messy, if I go in to clean that, I'm exposed to the venom. And over time, I can develop an allergy to the venom. And that is serious, because going in to just clean up their tanks, that exposure could lead to an allergy, and that could lead to me having a really bad reaction. And nobody wants that. I used to keep tarantulas. Not one this big, but I had a friend who was allergic to the little hairs that tarantulas have, and they would flick that. And if he developed an allergy to those hairs, so that if they got on him, he literally broke out in hives. If you're not allergic to poison ivy, repeated contact with poison ivy can lead to an allergy. And allergies can pop up at any time. Literally, you could wake up tomorrow and be allergic to strawberries. Okay, so that's my second point. Are we good so far? We all understand that they can go from nothing to blammo in a heartbeat. Yes? Okay. I'm going to assume it's a yes. You can, as I've already said, you can literally be fine with poison ivy one day and not the next, as I've already said. Basically, you're taking your chance with your life anytime that you get bit or stung. More or less. Of course, obviously, getting bit by this, way worse, potentially, than getting stung by a honeybee. Maybe not one this size. That would, I can't even imagine. Or getting bit by something like that. Would not be good. I am not telling, again, I'm not stating that other YouTubers shouldn't do this. What I'm suggesting is be smart, be safe. As I've said before, they knew what they were doing before they did it. If you don't, you are being super foolish. Don't do something. If your brother is allergic to ants, you mean the stings? He's allergic to the sting from the ants? Okay. I would be very curious. How old is your brother, if I may ask? I mean, it's really none of my business. But just throwing this out there, ants are related to bees and wasps. I would be very careful if your brother is younger with bees and wasps. He might be fine, but, and I'm not a doctor, okay? I'm just throwing that out there, but I am a trained naturalist. And I know that they're related. Ooh. That does not sound good. Yikes. No, thank you. But yeah. And he probably got more than one sting, too, I'm assuming. You know what? It's advice. But like I said, I'm not a doctor. I know that they're related. Yeah. And that was enough. And you said you're from the US. Are you, I feel like I shouldn't ask this, but are you from the South or the West? I'm only asking to try and maybe see if I can figure out. Oh, fire ants, huh? That would be my guess. Yeah. Fire ants are no good. if you're in here and you don't know, fire ants bite, but they also sting. And they are very, very protective over the nest. So if you get into them and one stings you, or you mess with the nest, that sets off the alarm, and everybody just swarms. So it's pretty bad. Also, I believe that you can educate without endangering yourself. That's just me. This is never going to hurt anybody. This, well, I mean, I suppose if I used it as a whip, it could hurt somebody. But this is never going to hurt anybody. This is never going to hurt anybody. I mean, unless you see it and you have a heart attack, I suppose then. But one of the YouTubers who does this stuff has 5,000 subscribers, and he built his channel up just sort of like I have. I'm assuming. And I have nothing but mad props to him. He's brave enough to do it in the first place. I wouldn't. Maybe I'm chicken. But I'm sorry, guys. I'm going to say this. It is not worth it to me to get stung for my nature peeps. Does that make sense? I will not do that. Now, on the flip side, I am willing, on occasion, to taste edible plants. I could have an allergy to that. Who knows? I am willing to hold animals if I know that I'm not going to get seriously hurt. And by that, I mean I'm not going to get stung. Hello, new people. Please come in and say hi. I am your friendly... I'm not going to say it. But yeah, moving on. As I said, I might be a chicken, but it's not worth me to get stung. And I said it, it's not worth it to me to take a bite for y'all or to take a sting for y'all. I love my nature peeps, but I hate pain. I barely survived kidney stones. Just kidding. It was painful, super painful, but I survived. I don't need to experience pain. If the experts say that something is painful, that's all I need to know. I know that fire ants are super protective over their nest. No offense to anybody, I'm going to be really careful when I enter an area that has them. My mom has told this story about me. I've told this story probably on lives. No jellyfish. No. Now, that being said, I'm perfectly happy to swim in the ocean if it's warm. There is no way I'm swimming in the ocean in San Francisco. Nope. No way. No way. Nope. There's a reason that animals have venom. In most cases, it's to take down prey. Why would I not swim in the Pacific Ocean in San Francisco? Because the water, the last time I was there in June or July, was ice cold. It wasn't ice cold, but it was colder than I would like it. I like water that is warm. I don't even, never mind. Let's just say I like warm water. I don't like boiling hot water, but I like warm water. I don't need a scientist to tell me. I don't need to test the effects of a cobra bite on me. I know because I've read what it can do to me. I've heard from people who have had it happen to know that I don't want it to happen to me. I'm going to tell a story about myself and take it for what it is. I was 5 or 6, maybe a little bit older. And my family would always go out west to visit my grandparents every summer. And one summer, my grandpa decided he was going to take us to the edge of a state park where there were sand dunes. Not as big as what we have where I'm from, but sand dunes covered in sagebrush and other high desert plants, or cold desert plants, whatever you want to call it. And my brain said rattlesnakes, and I took it to heart. I would not get out of the car. No matter how much fun my brothers and sister were having, I wouldn't get out. And it took a lot of convincing for them to get me out of the car. Now, once I was out, I was fine. I enjoyed it. But in my head, there were rattlesnakes. Last thing I want to talk about. These guys absolutely knew what they were doing. Okay? They knew what the venom would do. You know? They knew that if they got stung, what was going to happen. They knew the possibility of stuff happening. Yeah. So, yes, they were taking chances. But at the same time, and I'm going to say this, even though I just said what I just got done saying, be smart. Be safe, or being safe is better than being hurt. Now, I'm not saying that we should lock ourselves up in our houses and never go outside. That is just not cool. We need to get outside. We need to experience nature. However, know the nature around you. Carol, how many times have you heard me say that? I have probably said that on this channel 50 times or more. We need to get outside and experience nature. And I mean it. We need to enjoy wildlife. But at the same time, we need to be smart. And Carol has heard that too. Sometimes that means facing things that can bite or sting from a safe distance, of course. I would not assume, if I'm visiting Florida, that it's okay to just jump into a river or jump into a lake. I wouldn't do that. And probably my viewers would know why, because I've talked about it. I would not go hiking by myself in certain areas because being with somebody else improves your chances. And it's a smart thing to do. There are things to look for, even around your houses or around your yards, that'll keep you safe. If you have a football-shaped thing in your trees, in your yard, be smart. Don't mess with it. Stay away from it. Keep your kids away from it. If you have a mini volcano in your front yard, it's probably ants, and you probably should leave it alone. Kids don't always know that, and so it's important. However, as we know, accidents happen, unfortunately. And they will continue to happen. Alligators bite, ants bite, but they also sting. So what an ant will do is an ant is going to hold on and bite you, and then they're going to work that stinger in, and they're going to sting. I don't know. I used to. Yeah, so an ant, this is my ant, they will bite, and then they're going to bend that thorax, because they have to get leverage to sting. They'll bend forward and then sting. Another thing, unfortunately, that Florida has in some places, I don't know if the whole state has them, but scorpions. Again, scorpions can sting or can pinch, but something like this, they're not going to kill with those pinchers. Okay? Those pinchers are just way too small, as you can tell. They're going to whip that tail forward and strike. Yeah. Now, to the best of my knowledge, ants, when they bite, I don't believe inject venom. But they are, like I said, related to bees and wasps, and they can sting. Some ants can. I don't know if all of them can or not. Down in Florida, they have an animal that, you know, if you're in some places, you might find the eastern diamondback. And these guys they're no bueno. They're not something you want to mess with. They're not something you want to, take a chance on. They Sometimes will rattle. And if you hear the buzz, be smart, listen to it, stay away from it, give them space. Just saying. Not every animal puts on a show. They are dangerous. They are very dangerous. Florida and Australia just has all the fun creatures. Another animal that Florida has and other states have as well is the coral snake. Now these guys, whoops, I had it upside down. These guys are brightly colored and they're gonna stand out. I mean, if you're that pretty, you're gonna stand out. Okay? For those of us that don't work with animals, these guys are a smaller snake. These guys, oops. These guys can be bigger than us. I think I read something about 6 feet. And they're thick. These guys are definitely danger noodles. They are an elapid, meaning that they're related. Hi, ETS, meaning that they're related to cobras. Taking a bite from this guy, you have to be doing something, okay? Yeah, I'm not surprised. These guys are a lot of times will be underground, and they're going to be looking for things to eat underground. Now they do come up on the surface. They don't have, if I understand things right, they don't have very big fangs. But they are not something you want to get bit by. They're one of our more toxic snakes. And I don't think people are going to go around getting bit by these guys for reasons. But definitely spiders seem to be the focus of some of the stuff that I've seen. Insects, and yeah, insects seem to be the focus of a lot of what I've seen. And there are very few animals that I really, really, really fear. But I would not want a spider on my bed. Okay, I'm just saying. These are jumping spiders, or this is a jumping spider. Most jumping spiders are not interested in you. They're mainly interested in insects. The cool thing about jumping spiders is they have really big eyes. And they see really, really well. So up close, They are, but this is a big one because it's a toy. But in my case, it is a teaching tool. So they have really big eyes. And they can actually judge distance. And they see quite well. Some of them, it's thought, can even see in color. Yeah, and we do too. I mean, most jumping spiders aren't gonna. There's no jumping spiders that I know of that get this big. Most jumping spiders are going to be smaller than him. Right? I mean, they're not very big. This is supposed to be a tarantula. It's kind of a small one. But there are spiders out there that can carry a punch. Brazilian wandering spiders, not something you want to get bit by. In my area, bald-faced hornets are pretty painful. I don't know how painful a cicada killer wasp is. I don't want to find out. Blue-winged wasp. Again, I've never had one sting. Pretty good sized. A Pepsis wasp. So the hawk that feeds on tarantulas in our southwest and western states, they have a pretty mean sting. I don't want to feel that. Okay, so now that I've done my talking, do you guys have questions about anything that we've talked about tonight? And yeah, no, me neither. Now, most animals, I say this, and I believe it. Most animals do not attack necessarily because they're out to get you. That being said, alligators, sharks, some sharks, alligators, crocodiles, sharks, lions, tigers, leopards, mountain lions, bears. Those animals, you know, a person in the wrong place at the wrong time. Just saying. But smaller organisms, snakes, most snakes, they don't want anything to do with us. Given a chance, a snake is going to flee. Sometimes a snake will be moving. I had it happen to me once. I was swimming in a lake at scout camp, and I had a little water snake swim right between my legs. He wasn't coming after me. I just happened to be where he was trying to go. I was in his way of moving across the lake. He didn't even care that I was there. And most snakes, if you just leave them be, would just as soon go. cottonmouths will open their mouth and display. They want you to see them. A rattlesnake would much rather you hear them. They want you to hear that rattle. They want you to know that they're there. Because, bottom line, you're too big to be a meal. They want to go on their way. Sorry this has turned into one of those lives. But I finished what I was talking about and needed filler. This doesn't happen a lot, does it, Carol? Usually, I'm really long-winded. So, as always, if you have comments or questions that are bubbling in your brain and you're like, I don't want to ask them. I am watching the screen. Yes, I did. They are elapids. I don't have access to my Chromebook right now because it is dead and I'm not close enough to my computer, but I believe it is neurotoxic. Yeah. And we tend to produce anti-venom for animals that bite a lot, that people encounter a lot. People encounter coral snakes. I'm not sure what the I'm looking to see if I have a book handy. Because I have a habit. I have a habit of taking a book off my bookshelf. And I shouldn't do that. I have a habit of taking my books off a bookshelf and not getting them put back. But most of the time, I know where they're at. I just forget to put them back. And then I have this problem where I want them and I can't find them. So I don't want to speak out of turn. So let me see. Oh, come on. Let me see if I can. Oh, of course not. What I want is never in the books. Or I can't find it. Don't you just love when that happens? Oh, gosh. No, I can't find what I'm looking for, so I will have to hunt it up later. But yes, they are elapids. They are also related to some of the snakes from Australia. And they are animals that you want to avoid. Of course, sometimes what happens is very often we as humans, we do things. We make it easy. Mr. Spider is out walking, and he finds a dark place to hide during the day. You leave your shoes outside, and your shoes become the perfect place for a spider to bed down for the night. Or, you could have what happened to me. I was in college, and I was printing out a paper off the old dot matrix printer, and I'd gone out to get the mail. It was a nice hot day. I felt something on my neck. I have since stopped doing this, by the way. And I went and slapped it. Guess what happened to me? Can you guess what happened to me? Can you guess? I got stung. And I don't know how many times I got stung, but I got stung by a paper wasp that was on my back. That if I just left it alone, if I would have just not swatted it, I probably would have been okay. Yeah, that's what I said. Oh no. I would have been fine, but I swatted it. A lot of times we get spiders that manage to get into places we don't want them, like up our pant legs, or sometimes they get into our beds at night and we don't know it, and we roll and we put pressure and they bite. Totally not their fault. Our homes in some places make really good hiding places. Yes, they do. They're very, very defensive. I don't like using the term aggressive because sometimes we antagonize. We don't mean to, not a lot of times, but if you know that there's a nest on your house, don't aggravate. Don't purposely go out of your way to mess with them. Sometimes they will nest in places that they shouldn't be, but we don't know it. And in doing something, we trigger them. That can happen. But basically speaking, if you're being safe, they are protective. They are very protective. And some are worse than others. If you're ever in an area where there are, hold on, it'll come to me. If you're ever in the area and there are cicada killers, if you don't know, are pretty good sized wasp. Maybe they're not that big. They're not that big. They're maybe, could be that big. I have small hands. Not as big as my head. You could literally, they tend to nest in groups. You could literally sit amongst their holes and never get stung. I wouldn't suggest doing that with other wasps. Some wasps you're more apt to get stung than others. But yeah, just a lot of it is knowing what's out there. like in Florida, you know that there's we know that there's certain things out there that are potentially dangerous, and we need to act accordingly. I'm listening to the sounds outside because it's been very weathery looking outside, and I'm not one that likes bad weather, so I'm being extra observant today. And thank you guys for giving me something to do. And I need to do those things, but thank you for joining me tonight. We're almost out of time. I have started doing a thing where I asked you guys what you would like to do for lives. I go live every Tuesday, every Friday at 7, Tuesdays and Fridays at 7 p.m. and Saturdays are a little bit later. I go live at 8:30. This Saturday we are looking at the carnivores in my collection. Next Tuesday we are talking about endangered species, but we're going to be talking about how we choose who lives and unfortunately who we choose to go extinct. Friday, then that Friday at 7 p.m., we're talking about, like we did for the pangolin, we're going to do for the African forest elephant. Then Saturday, or next Saturday at 8:30, we are doing, if you watched Monsters and Myth Part 1, and I don't think I call it Part 1, but Myth and Monsters European Edition will be happening. And Tuesday, the following Tuesday, the actual dates for these are listed on the Facebook group page and also the community page on YouTube. That next Tuesday at 7 p.m. for one of my younger fans, if they show up, we are doing Godzilla monsters. If you look up above my head, you will notice that there are Godzilla figures up there. Not something I usually do for lives, but we are going to be discussing them. Height, weight, and weapons and other things will be discussed in that live. So even though I am a nature channel, occasionally I like to mix things up in my lives. Is there a live topic or a video that you would like me to cover? Predecessor 1, I have not forgotten your question. I will cover that hopefully tonight in a short. For those of you who are new and don't know, I will always ask permission before I do it. But I answer your questions in shorts. That way you get your answer, but I get a short. And everybody gets to hear the answer and learn from it. Also, if you see an animal or a plant and you're curious about what it is, I might know what it is, or I might have to search for it. But you can pop it into the community page, I believe, and I will do my best to identify it. That also lets me know, hey, I can do a video. But I will ask permission before I do it, because I don't want to just use your picture. But yeah, that's always fun for me. I do have some other ideas that I will be using for other lives and videos at the moment. Those are not in front of me. But, and I'm willing to keep going if people want to keep talking. I know Carol cringes when I say that sometimes, but I'm okay with it, because I would rather talk and be interactive than to not sit here and be a bump on a log. Because I honestly get bored. My parents go out on Friday night, and they're out till 11:30. Do I have pet ants? No, I do not. Never had an ant farm. I've had some really wacky pets. I shouldn't say wacky, but I've had some strange pets. Oh, sorry. I've had many types of tarantulas. I've had 5 or 6 species of scorpion, 3 or 4 different types of millipedes. I've had 3 different species of tropical cockroach as pets. I've had 2 species of centipede. I've had hermit crabs. I've had a Halloween crab. I've had not all of these at the same time, by the way, necessarily. I've had 2 pygmy hedgehogs. I had a cockatiel for 6 months. Sorry. Had a female garter snake for a while when I was a kid. Didn't know I shouldn't do that. I had a best bug, which is a native insect. I'm trying to think if there's anything. Oh, I've had a whip scorpion. So yeah, I've had some crazy pets. Now, the tanks that you see, they're empty. Empty tanks. They're just there for background. By the way. Other ideas that I had were Learn to Care Shark Edition, tigers, Learn to Care tigers, Learn to Care sea turtles, the real top 10. They are really cool pets. If you like those type of pets. And not everybody does. I started keeping them around 25, 20, no, probably about 23. 23 or 22. And I've only just stopped keeping them when I was in my 20s or in my early 50s. Hedgehogs are cool. I like hedgehogs. Some of them have the two that I had really cool personalities. I had one that was a Houdini, could not keep her contained. She would find a way out. My brother used to work for Pizza Hut, and he came home one night, and she was out of her enclosure and in his bedroom. Yeah, I imagine. I'm glad he didn't step on her. So did I. I think her name was Snowball or something like that. Really original name. I hated the fact that every time I would handle her, she would like roll up. But first she would like hop. Me too. Me too. She would like do this hop thing, so she would force the quills into you. Or her spines. Yeah, I don't want ferrets. I wouldn't mind having a snake, but I can't, not right now. The one thing I am really happy about is YouTube is slowly, really slowly taking off. I think I told Carol that I would reach 500 in May, and we reached 500 subscribers in April at some point. I didn't see it coming. So now I'm hoping that by this time next year, or maybe sooner, maybe by the end of the year, to be at 1,000. I just need to get my watch hours up. So I either need to start doing double the lives, or I don't know, longer videos. But I feel like the videos are just long enough. But I really do enjoy doing the lives. Yeah, they would. The right snake definitely would. Man, do I miss having snakes. I miss my tarantulas too. Gosh darn it. I seem to be drawn to the things that I shouldn't have, that just make no sense. Me too. No. My problem is if I mess with the tank, I would end up sick the next day. Not like throwing up, but just sick. It was like eating chocolate. If I eat chocolate, it's like certain types of chocolate. It's like taking X-Lax. Sorry if that's TMI. But I would love to have a pair. They're pretty easy to take care of. Yeah. I mean, they're easy to take care of and everything. It's just, yeah. Actually, you know what I really, really want? And I can't even afford to house them or to buy them. I'd love some African millipedes. But I hear they're like $65 a piece. Oh, that thing, Carol? That issue that I have at the moment? Sorry, I'll repeat it in a second. That issue that I have at the moment, Carol? I just found out today that something cost $16. And I just went to pay something today. And I'm like, I don't even know. Like, I don't know. I'm just done. I would like to have some African millipedes, but they're $65 a piece, or they were, and I can't afford that. But they're just as easy to maintain as the Madagascar hissing cockroaches. I kid you not. If you have a male and a female and you're feeding them regularly, you will have babies in a year. You may not see them, but they will be there. I always tell people they're like giant black hot dogs with legs. And if you're careful, you can actually hold them. They're a little bit more clingy than the other millipede, than the hissing cockroaches, though. You know, I think this is the first live in a long time that I haven't had to warn somebody. Must be a school night. Maybe. Question is, what's going to happen when school gets out? Ugh. I don't mind if the kids come in and they're being good. I don't care. Oh, and Carol, just for the record, I had both kids today. Again. And not my kids, by the way. My grandniece and grandnephew. Anyway, yeah. And she was sick. She had thrown up last night. Fun. So, any questions about anything that we've talked about tonight? Or anything that you want to talk about? Otherwise, I do need to get off. I need to exit. You know, she never, ever threw up for me. I never saw it. I don't know when she did it. I really don't. But she spent most of the day in bed watching videos on her dad's phone. Yeah, I normally leave pretty quickly after I say that. I just want to make sure that we don't have any questions or comments that I need to address before I leave. Because I don't want people having questions and then not getting them answered. I do want to do a question and answer thing at some point, but nobody ever wants to do that. So I'm going to say goodnight. Guys, go have dinner if you haven't yet. Enjoy your evening. Enjoy your weekend. I will see you Saturday at 8:30 p.m. for Carnivores in My Collection. Good night.